What's up everyone, how are we doing today? I'm gonna be making 3 delicious recipes for you today. I'm gonna cram everything into this one video, but don't worry, there's gonna be ingredients and recipe notes down in the description below. Make sure at the end of the video, you let me know in the comments which one you enjoyed the most. And of course, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and click that red button. As I said, today's a really exciting... Excuse me?
Boring.
Who are you? I'm you. You're not me, I'm me. I'm trying to make but I think I can do it better. Look guys, honestly, I think I should do it. This is all a bit weird. Here's what's coming up today. I apologise for before, that was a little bit crazy. I don't know who invited those two. I'm just gonna get stuck in and show you how to make these delicious dishes. So let me tell you a little bit about the 3 dishes individually. So the first one, we're gonna do some lettuce cups. I'm gonna use a soy chicken and some mushrooms, and I'm gonna make a Hoisin style sauce to go with that as well. A few added extras, we'll get to that later. The second dish is gonna be a really nice fresh salad. It comes with nice leafy greens, some potatoes, some bulgur wheat. We're gonna add some tofu in there and a few added extras I'll tell you about when we're making. And the third dish I've got for you is a tofu wrap. So it's gonna be a large wrap that we slice in half, and this is gonna be great. I've designed these 3 dishes to make them tasty, simple things that you can do. Maybe make these all at the beginning of the week to do yourself 3 days of work lunches or something like that. Without further ado, let's start making our lettuce cups with the Hoisin sauce. So in the bowl, I've just got a little bit of arrowroot powder, so you can use arrowroot powder or tapioca starch, or you can use corn flour. It's all the same thing pretty much, just comes from a different plant. I've mixed that with a little bit of smooth peanut butter. I've just got some soy sauce. So I'm gonna go for the low salt soy sauce. So we'll add our soy sauce. We've also got some vinegar as well. Use any vinegar you like, that's fine. Got here for some nice sweetness, Pomegranate Molasses. Now you can use another sweetener like agave or maple syrup, but I do recommend if you can get your hands on some of this, it is quite tasty. And I'm just gonna add in a touch of garlic powder as well. Now, if we give this a nice stir, and keep stirring that round till it's nice and consistent. Grab yourself a little saucepan. Place that onto the heat, and then just chuck this sauce into the saucepan, and we're just gonna cook it through for a few minutes just to reduce it down a little bit. I'm gonna grab my soy chicken. I've got these really nice pieces that shred quite easily. I don't want them too small. I still want them to have a bit of a bite. If you don't have a good soy chicken, you can use a soy mince or another alternative. If you like making seitan, you could make a seitan, almost like a shredded seitan. That would be really nice. I mean, you can use anything really, any meat substitute. You can go for tofu. I did want to mix it up a little bit today. I just didn't want to just do every dish with tofu because I know that can get boring. So continue to shred your chicken. Just letting the bee out. Once that is shredded, I have here a dried chili. These are homemade dried chilies. You can use a fresh chili or chili flakes if you like. Just gonna chop this into some nice big pieces. And I'm gonna keep all the seeds in there. I'm gonna add that to my bowl of chicken. I've also got here some fresh ginger as well. Just gonna take that and just grate that on the top. Wonderful. You don't need too much ginger, to be honest. I'm gonna go for half a teaspoon of the minced garlic there as well. Give that a really good stir. I'm gonna add just a really small pinch of salt and some pepper into there just for some additional seasoning. Wonderful. I'm gonna place that to one side. There. I'm going to chop up some mushrooms. So I've got some really lovely kind of wild mushrooms here. You can use any mushrooms you like. We had these in the fridge, so I thought they might be nice to use. They're really fragrant. Got a really nice fungusy smell. Just want you to chop these. Keep these a bit large. Remember with mushrooms, when you're cutting and chopping them, they do reduce down in size. So if you still want them to have a bit of a bite, make sure you chop them a little bit larger. Obviously not too large, because these are going to be going into lettuce cups. Chop, chop, chop. I've actually added into here a teaspoon of water as well. I just found it was getting a little bit too thick, and that teaspoon of water just kept it nice and fluid. I think this is actually done. Give this a little taste. Wonderful. It's predominantly a nice sweet flavour in there. It's a really rich sweet flavour. You've got the soy sauce, obviously, to add that darkness and that saltiness. And those flavours really, really go well together. So I'm going to place this just to one side. I can keep it in the pan. I'm going to top the lettuce cups later with this. And just to bear in mind, this is just a topping sauce. It's not a sauce that's going to marinate it or anything. So you don't need an awful lot of this. Like I said, it is quite rich, so you don't want too much of it. You don't want your food to be too sweet and too salty. You do want it to balance out. That's why we've got the lettuce in there for the freshness, and then the vegetables in there for that nice savoury effect. So let me place this to one side. These mushrooms are done, so I'm going to place these into my... Where's my chicken bowl gone? You took my... Give me my chicken. Give it. For God's sake. Sorry guys, back to the video. I'm gonna place these mushrooms into my bowl here, and that is ready to fry. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna place a saucepan onto the heat. Once it's hot, I'm gonna add a little bit of oil. I'm gonna fry these up nicely. Okay, the frying pan's on the heat. I'm gonna leave that there this time so you can't get it. I've got some lovely baby cucumbers here. Thin slices like this, the whole way through. I'm sure when you take these to work, people are going to be very jealous. They're going to be looking, they're going to be taking pictures of your food. Then I want you just to lay them out, and I want you to go back and take some nice long slices like this. And I like laying the stuff out on the board sometimes like this because it makes it really efficient. Just keep all your fingers out the way, keep those slicing, and then you're left with these really delicious sticks of cucumber. If you have the confidence, you can stack them up like this and take your slices this way. Lovely jubbly. I've also got some spring onion here as well, so I'm going to peel away that layer that I don't want. And these onions have round bulbs on the bottom, so you can either use these or the long spring onions, that's fine. I'm going to leave that green part just for the salad, and I'll place these just to one side. Okay, my pan's nice and hot now, so I'm going to place a little bit of oil. And now it's ready to fry up those delicious... Where have they gone? Have you got them? This is my chicken. Did you eat some? Okay. Stay away. Stay away. God, these two. Okay, I'm gonna fry these up. That oil's gonna be nice and hot now. Wonderful, they're cooking. Everything else looks like it's prepped, so I'm just gonna do the last thing with the lettuce. These are gonna hold nicely. I think what I'm going to do is perhaps make 6 of these. And the leaves get smaller as you go in. Now, I'd recommend when you get the lettuce, where you break them off, if you smell it, it's almost like a bit of a bitter flavour. So just slice that off. Just slice that tiny bit off the end. Ah, wonderful. So these look done. Take a look at that. Nice and golden brown. I can really smell that chilli radiating off. That's going to be nice and spicy. Oh yeah. I'm going to take these one at a time. I'm going to place in a touch of onion down in the bottom there. Some of the chicken and the mushrooms as well. Oh, you guys have to try these. They look so good. Oh, can't wait to eat them. Okay, no need to fill them up too much because we've got 6 lettuce leaves. And really, you want to be able to put this in your mouth and all in one go. So I recommend just doing, this is perfect really. We've still got some of this lovely cucumber to place on as well. So I'm just gonna place that over the top. Maybe one more bit. Wonderful. So same thing, just a little bit of onion in the bottom. Wonderful. Now, if you're packaging these in a Tupperware, make sure you package them like a taco and you can squish them together and just place them in a formation like I've done here. Another thing I've got here is some lovely coriander as well. Wonderful. All that's left now is to drizzle on that delicious Hoisin sauce, and these are ready to eat. This is looking absolutely delicious. One thing I'm going to place on here to finish is some pomegranate seeds. I think the colour is just really going to allow those lettuce cups to pop. And we're finished. Perfect. Let's move on to the next recipe. So I'm not going to lie to you, I just took the lettuce cups outside to mum and dad and we scoffed them up. And I was a bit like a waiter at a wedding with the hors d'oeuvres. They were delicious, really spicy, really fresh with the lettuce, absolutely delicious. Nice and crunchy, nice and soft. Oh, there's so many different textures and flavors going on in there. And that nice sweet, sour flavor of the pomegranate that complemented the pomegranate molasses inside the Hoisin sauce so well. Oh my God. You have to absolutely try those. Let's talk about salads. Hopefully we're not going to be distracted by 2 guys that think they're me, but let's just talk about what we're going to put in this salad. When I think of salads, it's not just looking at what vegetables and what leaves that you can put into a bowl. You really have to think about the dynamics of everything, because salads at the end of the day can be boring if you're eating the same salad every time. Leafy greens, kale, spinach, lettuce are obviously recommended. So every time I have a salad, I make sure there's a nice generous amount of those kind of things. You also want to add in some other textures. So you can buy dried shallots or make them yourself to add some real crunch. You can add nuts, you can add seeds if you want that crunchy element. You can add fruit to your salads, which we'll be doing today. I'll show you a bit later. You know, apple, orange, pineapple. There's so many different options there. Obviously, when it comes to carbohydrates, you've got so many options. You can add rice, bulgur wheat, potatoes. So texture is one of the things. Another thing that's really important for me with salads is making sure that there's a massive variation of flavors. When it comes to lettuces and cabbages and that kind of thing, these are things that don't have a lot of taste, but they add a lot of freshness. They're palate cleansers. Other flavors that we need to look at putting into our salads is your sour flavors as well. So, you know, you can use sour fruits. Most of the time you'll find I use lemon juice in my salads. Today we're going to use lemon juice and lemon zest as well. That's going to actually go into the dressing. The final thing with salads, just to bear in mind, is colour. So make sure that you have a massive variation of colour. We eat with our eyes before we taste with our mouths, and bear that in mind, because there's so much food out there on the internet and in cookbooks and stuff like that these days. there's so many options for people, and if your food doesn't look good, people aren't going to want to try it. So just be inventive, and sometimes all it needs is a splash of colour, and you'll see me sometimes use things and ingredients for the colour. Obviously you have an extra flavour, but sometimes colour is just as important as everything else. So bear that in mind when you're making your salad. I'm gonna make this salad part really quick because I've been talking for quite a while now about salads, but I thought you guys might wanna just have a little bit of information on what I think about before I make a salad. So like I say, let's throw these things into the bowl and I'll show you how I do it. So firstly, I just want you to grab a nice big bowl so you can have lots of room to stir these things around. Did I just get that out? Very strange. I've had too much coffee today. Anyway, let's throw these things into the bowl. Now, some spinach. I'm gonna save some of that because that's gonna be used in our tofu wrap later. We've got some delicious lettuce as well. Wonderful. I've got just a tiny bit of the cucumber and onion from earlier, so that's going straight in so it doesn't get wasted. We've also got the rest of the spring onion here as well. Just gonna chop this up really roughly, but as small as I possibly can. I've got some more cucumbers here. These baby cucumbers are delicious. And I'm just gonna go down the middle and then into quarters. And this is an example of what I was saying with the texture of your food and cutting things different size. I just think it makes things more exciting when you're eating your food if things are chopped differently. So just think about it. They can go straight in the bowl. Next, I've got the tofu. I've just chopped these up into little cubes. I'm gonna grab a decent amount of salt. Nice big pinch because this is the only salted element of this dish. And I'm just gonna give these a quick mix around. I'll leave that just to soak up that salt just for a few seconds. Got some potato as well. Boiled these up. That's going into the bowl. Got some bulgur wheat here as well that I've cooked up. That's going straight in. Got here some beautiful tomatoes. Just use any tomatoes that you can. I'm gonna take this, slice it down the middle. I'm gonna get kind of long slices and not too small. Again, I'm gonna chuck this tofu in and I'm just gonna grab a spoon and just give this a really good stir. I just love the colors going on already. So you saw me use the pomegranate seeds earlier. Now, that's something that I wanted to use with the lettuce wrap. And I thought, you know, you buy a pomegranate, you get a big pomegranate, so why not use that in the salad? So I'll place those in. I think all of those will do quite nicely. The other thing as well is coriander. So I saved some of the coriander that I had from earlier, and I'm just gonna really roughly chop this. That can go in. The last thing that I've got here is some orange segments. Peel off this outer skin, slice those in half, and then in half again. And you're left with these nice little chunks of tangerine, so they can just go straight into your bowl. Now what I've done here, I've taken a whole large tangerine. I'm using 5 of the segments in the salad, and I'm gonna use 3 of the segments a bit later on. So you can use a whole tangerine if you're preparing all of this together. I've tried to make it so if you have a few ingredients left over, there's another recipe that you can put those into. And that's the same with the tofu as well. I've used tofu in this and in the next one because I know that when you buy a pack of tofu, nobody needs to eat a whole pack at the same time. So I'm gonna grab myself a plate here and I'm just gonna serve this salad onto the plate. And of course, if you're taking this to work, this is gonna be super easy just to chuck into a Tupperware. Wonderful, salad's all plated up. I'm just gonna make up this dressing very quickly and we're gonna drizzle it on and then we can move on to the third recipe. Okay, take yourself an avocado, don't throw your food around, it's rude. Slice it down the middle. Now this is quite a large avocado, so what I thought I'd do is use this same dressing in the tofu wrap later. There's gonna be different flavor elements in there, so it's not just gonna taste like a salad in a wrap, if you know what I mean. Hold the knife nice and close to the pip and just stab away. Don't do this because you might risk cutting through your hand. Pull out and there you go, stone. Peel that all back. And then just roughly chop these. These are all going into a blender anyway, so you don't need to be neat here. So grab your blender jug, place in your avocado. Why couldn't the man get his vegetables from the store? Because he didn't have avocado. Place those avocados into your blender jug and get the other ingredients ready. Got my vegan coconut yogurt here. Place in 4 heaped tablespoons of the vegan yogurt. I'm gonna see how that goes. I think that's gonna be enough. I'm also going to add in 2 tablespoons of oat milk as well. Got about 2/3 of a tablespoon, so that's 2 teaspoons of lemon juice as well going into there. I'm gonna zest half this lemon here as well. Just do this onto my board and then I'll sweep it up and that can go straight in. What I really like as well, using lemon zest, you obviously get that colour as well. Just sweep that up and that can go straight in. That was just some cracked black pepper and a medium pinch of sea salt as well. So I'm going to place this onto the blender and see how it turns out. This looks amazing. Almost looks like ice cream. Ice cream on a salad. Never tried that. That's wonderful. One thing it does need is a little bit more lemon juice. I'm just going to go ahead and just add a little bit more. Just enough acidity in there to balance out those flavours. You can have this as more of a drizzle dressing, but I'm kind of looking forward to having this in nice clumpy pieces of dressing all around the salad, so I'm gonna go with that. Let me place this dressing onto the salad and then we'll straight away move on to the tofu wrap. I've had a very quick tidy up and we're just gonna prepare this third dish. Now this should be pretty quick because we've already got a dressing made up, like I said. All we're gonna do is cook off the tofu and then make up the wrap. So there's a few things that I'm gonna flavour my tofu with. I'm gonna start off with a bit of smoked paprika. I've got here some turmeric powder as well. I've got some cumin and some dried coriander as well. So quite a lot of flavour going into there, and I'm just going to mix that around. I'm going to add a touch of sea salt and of course some cracked black pepper as well. Grab yourself a bowl. I've just got the tofu here, so I've sliced the tofu into quite chunky blocks here, kind of long and skinny, so they fit the shape of the wrap when they go in, which will help when you're making up the wrap, but also quite thick, so it's got quite a bite to it. This powder's getting sprinkled right on top, and where your tofu is a little bit wet out the packet, this will just stick to it quite easily. I'm gonna grab a brush just to keep my hands clean, and I'm just gonna brush this all over the tofu. That's a fairly good coating. I'm gonna throw these in the pan, all that extra powder go in there, and I'll just finish off the coating in the pan. Whilst your pan's heating up, I just want you to grab a red onion, and all you need is about 1/4 of this onion. Try and get them as thin as you can. You don't want too much. I'll place that just to the side of the board. Now that pan should be nice and hot, so I'm gonna place on a little bit of oil, and then we're gonna throw in the tofu in just a moment, but not before we place just about a teaspoon of garlic puree or minced garlic into the pan. So I've got myself some pincers here that I'm gonna cook with. I'll just mix that garlic round, and you'll hear that sizzle go in, and I'm just gonna throw that tofu into the pan like so. I'm just gonna grab my pincers and just work it round like this. And any bits of tofu that have missed out on the flavour, just go ahead and coat that side. And then just any dry bits of the tofu after that, try and dip that in a bit of the oil. And then we're gonna leave that to cook for about 3 minutes, maybe 4, and then we'll go and flip them over to the other side. I'm gonna grab the other 4 segments of tangerine, and I'm gonna peel the sides and the top off again. I'm just gonna do this really quickly because you've already seen how to do this. So I'm gonna check on the tofu. I'm gonna flip those over. They should be looking nice and crispy. The color won't change too much. It'll get a little bit darker, but obviously you've already got a golden color because of the turmeric and the paprika and stuff, so. Okay, I think my tofu is done. Looking nice and crispy on both sides. Let's place that onto the board just to cool down. Now, it might be a good idea if you're making this for a lunch the next day to cook up your tofu and just leave it to cool down and then make up your wrap. If you're gonna eat it straight away, obviously chuck it in the wrap and eat it warm. It's completely up to you. I'm gonna take myself a tortilla. I've got a nice seeded tortilla here. Obviously, if you're gluten-free, you can just use a gluten-free tortilla. As well, if you're gluten-free and you wanna do a naked tortilla, you can just use these ingredients and make them into a salad, use some lettuce and stuff like that. So obviously we have, remember our dressing, our avocado dressing here. So that is gonna get smothered all onto the bottom of my tortilla. We're gonna place on the tofu on top of that. Then I'm gonna top it with the raw red onion. If you don't like raw red onion, you can just cook it up, that's fine. I want to place in the tangerine. I've also got some of my absolute favourite. If you know my channel, you know that I love toasted pine nuts. All I've done is just slowly toasted these in a pan whilst I was setting up for the video today. And they're really fragrant. And what happens with the toasted pine nuts, all the oils just release slightly, give the nut a slight coating, and they cook them. So you don't need any oil or anything. It's all just the pine nuts working with the heat to create that delicious taste, and the crunch that comes out of it is delicious. What I'm gonna do after all of that is just zest on some lemon, just because I can, and I've got a little bit more lemon zest over there. I'm gonna take this avocado dressing and I'm gonna show you how I plate this tortilla. Just had a go at those last two dishes. They were absolutely perfect. All the flavors complementing each other in such an amazing way. And just to bear in mind with that wrap, if you are gonna take it to work as a work lunch, here's a little preview of just how I would fold it. So take the edges and just fold the back over, and then roll your hands over and just really tightly roll it. And then grab a sharp knife, slice it down the center, and if you want them to stay nice and tight, just wrap them in some tin foil and you're good to go. If you've enjoyed these recipe videos today, please make sure you subscribe, hit that red subscribe button. And if you had any questions or wanted to leave me a comment, you can do that down below. Obviously hit that thumbs up as well. That would be fantastic. Do you want to say goodbye? See you on the next one. Thanks very much.